Hello. My name is Areesha. I'm Alexander. We're going to be interviewing Dr. Lawson for our school project. So first, we're going to ask him, how long have you been in Jamaica?
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for choosing me for this interview, and I hope that it can be of help to you. Now, your question was?
How long have you been in Jamaica?
Okay, I have lived in Jamaica since I was born, apart from a few short years when I went away to study. So that means I've been living here for 58 years.
Okay. Second, we're going to ask you, which parish were you from?
Well, I was born in Kingston, but I lived in St. Andrew for much of my early life. And when I started going to high school, I moved to the parish of St. Catherine. And for a couple of years, I also lived and worked in Manchester. And now I'm back in St. Andrew again.
Okay. So, as a kid, what did you do in your spare time?
Okay, in my spare time when I was growing up, and I used to come home and we used to play a little bit out in the garden and ride bicycles and sometimes climb trees. But always we had a time when we had to stop and we had to go and do homework that we got from school. And so we always had to spend some time playing and some time doing homework and studies.
In your opinion, how has Jamaica changed in the past 40 years?
Well, Jamaica has changed a lot in the last 40 years. Jamaica has a lot of development that has taken place in the last 40 years, and you can see a lot of that development being done even now with a lot of roadworks that are being done. So we over the last 40 years, the amount of cars that are on the road has gotten a lot more. It used to be when I was going to school that there were very few cars, and so people had to take the bus. I used to take the bus as well.
Even I used to take the bus when I used to be in my old school.
Yes, very good. So now a lot of people are now driving their own cars. So there are a lot more cars. And you can see a lot more houses being built as well. So a lot of things have changed in the last 40 years.
Okay. How has those changes affected the people?
Well, I can tell you that with all of the roadworks and all of the increase in cars, there's a lot more traffic on the road, and so it takes a lot longer to go from one place to the other. And even in going long distances, it can take you a long time. But at the same time, we now have new highways. And there's a new highway that runs all the way from Kingston all the way to the western side of the country in Montego Bay. And it will take you shorter time to travel on the highway to go to Montego Bay. I remember when I was a child, it would take 5 hours to drive from Kingston to Montego Bay. Now it can take, yes. So now it can take less than 3 hours because we have new roads and new highways. Also, you could, when I was a child, take the train to go from Kingston to Montego Bay.
I've been in a train before and I passed like 12 cities.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Alexander? Have you been in a train?
Basically, with trains, I see what you're saying. It's easier to take a train than like very much a bee.
Yes. So now you can't take a train from Kingston to Montego Bay.
But did you know that they're actually opening back up the frames and building back the rails?
Yes, I know that they're trying to do that, sure. And I hope that they do.
Hey, have you seen any changes in the education systems?
Changes in the education system. Well, there are more schools now than there were when I was a child, and some of the schools that are present now were present then, but they were called something else. So they have been upgraded to the standard of high schools, and they were probably called all age schools at the time. So, and I've also seen a change in what is being taught in the school and how they examine you to see whether or not you have gained knowledge from going to school. The exams that we take now, like the new PEP exam, is something new. Never had that before. When I was your age, I would be preparing for something called the Common Entrance exam. Now we don't have Common Entrance exam anymore. You don't have GSAT anymore either. You now have the PEP exam. So there have been changes. And even for you to go to high school, when you're finished with high school, the exams that you take at the end of high school have also changed as well.
Just one question, what's GSAT?
Grade 6 Achievement Test, GSAT. And that's the exam that you would have to take to go from prep school, where you are now, to go to high school. So now that has changed to the PEP exam.
Okay. So, how have these changes affected you personally?
Well, the changes have not affected me personally, because when I was your age, I had to do those exams. And what I can say is that in general, I think the level of literacy, you know what literacy is? People who can read and write. I think the level of literacy has gone up. It has increased. So there are fewer people in the country now who cannot read or write. And so that has changed in the time when I was a child and now. So I think that is a good thing for more people to be able to read and write. And I think what we should do is get everybody in the country to be able to read and write. Don't you think that's a good idea?
Yeah.
So
It helps in knowledge.
yes, and it helps in knowledge, and it helps in dealing with each other and interacting in many ways, because if you can't read or write, you can't drive a car, you can't go to the bank and explain and read things in the bank, and things like
I don't think
that.
you'll be able to communicate that well. You need to read to know the words.
Correct. Very good. So that has changed a lot over the last 40 years, and it is changing for the better.
Yeah. So, thank you for using up your time and doing this assignment with us and agreeing to do the interview.
It has been my pleasure to do that. Is there any more question that you have?
And I think we've asked enough. Well, I have one question.
Sure.
So, we know that the changes have been good, but has there been any bad changes?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. Yes, I think there have been some bad changes as well that have taken place. For sure, there seems to be more serious crime taking place in our society now. And I think that is because people are not able to sort out their arguments and their differences between each other without resorting to violence. And I think the country is becoming a more violent place. That's because we're not willing to talk and to listen to each other and hear what each other has to say. So the more we stop and think about what the other person thinks and what the other person does, and not just be selfish in what we want and what we think, then we can be a different society. So some of the bad things have taken place as well. It's not been all good. That was an excellent question. Any other question?
No, I don't think so. So again, thank you for your time.
And I thank you for choosing me for this topic. I hope that my answers have been helpful.
Yes, I think they will be.
Thank you.
So, thank you and yes.
Okay, bye. And remember to do your homework.
Thank you so